All right, let's get it straight. The question is, what about the idea that matter is never created or destroyed, it only changes form? That's a scientific theory. Science is a creation of the mind of man. It is so limited, it's as limited as the mind of man is limited. Now, our minds are pretty expansive and pretty extensive, but it is not divine knowledge. It is looking out into the universe rather than in from outside. You know, if you look at the universe from the inside out, it's infinite. But if you look at it from God's perspective, from the outside in, it's less eternal than a snap of the fingers is to us. So, you know, science is good. Science does a lot of good. Science can do a lot of harm, but it can do a lot of good. And science is very good. I respect science. But science is a figment of the mind of man. It's a figment of the mind of man. It's a human creation. It's not a divine dispensation. And unfortunately, people try to make science a divine dispensation when in fact it's only a human creation. And it can't be any better than the mind or the minds of men. So then scientists who become addicted to their science and can't reach outside of it, it's a good tool, it's a bad master. Scientists who become addicted to it then try to make it the gold standard for all of creation, and there's only one gold standard for all of creation, and that's God.
So anything within creation?
Well, you know, science makes up theories and then tests hypotheses.
Yeah.
That's all it does. And sometimes, you know, engineering is what's given us most of our modern conveniences, but it's back up from the world, go up in an airplane, look at the city, then go up in a spaceship and look at the Earth, then transpose that into going out towards the nearest galaxy. You don't even see our solar system. That's how immense this creation is. It is virtually like a molecule of water that exists in the ocean. That's our entire creation. That's all the universes through the black holes and everything else, the multi-universes and everything else, all the multi-dimensional universes, if there are such things, everything else exists within God, like a molecule of water exists within the ocean. Only that's even cutting it too short. There are no examples. Maybe a molecule of water existing in the whole universe of creation is, you know, if the universe of creation were to be God and the molecule of water was with this universe of creation or this realm of creation, then God would be the universe and the molecule of water would be our entire realm of creation. That's how small it is. And in that, if you bore down into that, you get down finally to the earth. Then you get finally down to a city someplace where there is a scientist who's creating theories that he pretends to have dictate to the entire universe what it is and how it works. Scientists never create anything. They only discover things. Engineers are more creative, but even there, they don't create things. They just put things that have been discovered together to make them work in new ways. God alone creates. You know, and it's such profound arrogance. Having been in perfect final union with God and looked at this creation from the outside rather than the inside, the degree of awesome, profound arrogance on the part of scientists and people who pontificate about how the universe was an accident, a mistake, in an unintentional colliding of forces to produce what is here. The degree of arrogance and ignorance that betrays is unfathomable. And I understand why people do it. If you really believe in science, you can get caught up in that. Science is a wonderful tool. It's a great tool. It brings us medicine. It brings us modern conveniences. It also brings us nuclear weapons and things of that sort. Yeah. But the mark of a good scientist is that the scientist knows his limits, or her limits. The mark of a bad scientist is that the scientist does not know his or her limits. A good scientist will say those questions are outside the realm of science. The questions of God and creation and philosophy, those are all outside the realm of science. Those are all outside the realm of science. The whole theory of evolution is only a theory. There is no proof of it. There's no proof of it at all. No more proof of that than there is of creation. Actually, there's more proof of creation than there is of the fact that there is proof of evolution. We have never found that animal that shows the crossover point between the ape and man. We've never found it. And you know, it's all conjecture. And it may be good conjecture, it may be bad conjecture, it may be useful conjecture, it may be not be. But every good scientist I've ever known has always said, theories are never true or untrue, they're just useful or unuseful. If they're useful, you use them. If not, you don't use them. Well, a good scientist knows his limits, and it is the physical universe. It's the quantifiable, measurable physical universe. And even there, a good scientist knows that his or her understanding of that quantifiable universe is severely limited by our own perceptions and our own equipment that we can investigate it with. Personal equipment and created and engineered equipment, I shouldn't say created. So only bad scientists, those who want to believe that they are the penultimate creature in the universe, make absurd and ridiculous declarations that there is no God and that all of creation came about because of some weird accident or another. After all, isn't an accident only something that people don't understand? If you understand how it happened, it's not an accident anymore, it's cause and effect. So, you know, we respect science within its own limits, but slap them in the mug, philosophically speaking, when they step outside of their own limits, because science is supposed to be tightly confined to a certain set of limits. And those limits do not extend to whether there is a God or whether the universe was created or came about by accident or whether evolution is a fact or creation is not a fact. And people who use it that way are politicizing science, and in the process they're destroying the true nature of science. So they're neither good theologians, if they're theologians at all, nor are they good scientists. They're just fools. And that's the best summation I can give it. I think the best way to tie a knot around this thing is to say the old adage that when all you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. When all you have is science, everything starts to look like materialism. Of course, that's why the communist tries to make science into a religion of the masses, because if the communist can turn everyone into a materialist, then they can dominate them and wreak tyranny and havoc over them and cause them to dance to the tune of communism. But the scientist, you know, science is a good tool, bad master. And if you begin to think that the tool, if you narrow your focus down to where the tool is all you have, then, like I said, when all you have is a hammer, everything starts to look like a nail. Okay? Jai Bhai Manchi.